you doing, sis? How you doing?
I end up leaving that shit on all night.
How you doing, sis? What's your name? Diane? So I got a question, Diane. I seen you showed you these images in here. Who is this image right here? Who do they tell us that person is? They tell us that's Jesus. Can we read that in the Bible? Have you been to church before? How long you been going to church? Huh? You've been to church for a long time, though, you would say, right? And they told us that this image was who? Jesus? Right. Can we find that in the Bible? Can we find any depiction or description of what Christ looked like in the Bible? We can't? Okay. I'm going to read this for you. Read what you got. Revelation 1:1.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 1, verse 1.
So this says this is the book of Revelation, chapter 1, verse 1. The root word of revelation means to reveal. So John is going to reveal to us what the true depiction of what Christ looks like. Read.
The revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave to him.
Go to verse 14.
Verse 14.
So now John, it said this is what God gave to him, right? So John is going to give us the description of what Christ looks like. Read.
And his head and his hairs were white like wool.
So John said, when I turned around and I saw this man, his head on top, the hairs on top of his head, the hairs on his face was white in color, woolly in texture. What people on the earth today have white woolly hair? Black people.
Woolly hair.
When you look at
Woolly hair.
the woolly texture of our hair, you look at this brother's hair right here. You see my top of my hair. We all have woolly texture hair. Right? So it says God, Christ, had white woolly hair. Read.
As white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire.
So when it says Christ's eyes was a flame of fire, and we look at this image here, remember, we're reading the depiction of Christ. We said that this image is in the Bible, and it said that Christ had white, woolly hair as texture. When we look at this image, can we see any of these depictions with white, woolly hair and texture? No, but when we look over here, this is a better depiction of what Christ would look like. We got white, woolly hair on his face, on his head, and on his face, right? And it said his eyes was a flame of fire. What was Christ's first miracle? You know? What did he do at the wedding feast? He turned water into what? Into wine.
Right.
And we know, we look at our people, we when we start to drink, the whites of our eyes turn what? It turns red, right? So that's already 2 strikes when we look at this depiction compared to the depiction we got over here of what Christ really looked like. Come on.
And his feet.
Now we're talking about his feet. So read.
And his feet like unto fine brass.
What color is brass?
You know,
Like if I had a penny, what color is that? Means, you ever seen a trumpet? Like an instrument? What color is that instrument? It's like a goldish brown color, right? So it says his feet was like fine brass. Read.
as if they burned in a furnace.
So dark, it looked like it burned in a furnace. What color is anything that you burn? You ever burn toast? What color come out? Dark or what? What's another word for dark? Black. Right. So now we read that Christ had white woolly hair, eyes as a flame of fire, and he had skin burned in a furnace. Does this image have skin burned in a furnace? So is this image Christ? This image would be more closer to looking what Christ looked like, right?
That's right.
Right. So read it again.
And his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace.
So Christ, according to the Bible, was a black man, according to the Bible. As we read,
right.
this image that we got in all of our churches, the one that's been taught to us all throughout the world, is nothing but lies. But Christ prophesied and told us that these things was going to happen. You know what I want? Matthew 24 and 4. Read what you got.
This is the book of Matthew chapter 24 verse 4. And Jesus answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you.
So Christ is telling us and letting us know in the future there are going to be people that's going to deceive us. He said, take heed, don't be deceived, because this image right here, it deceives a lot of our people. We think that this is Christ. We think that's the real image of Christ because they got it in Brazil, standing like a big statue with his arms spread out, this showing that this is supposed to be Christ. But the Bible depicts him as a black man. And Christ is giving us and letting us know it's going to be a time that you shouldn't be deceived. Read.
For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ.
Because many shall come in his name, showing that he is Christ. When we went into slavery, when you read about the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans? Because when you look on the sign, come over. I want you to see the sign. When you see do you see yourself on the sign? Would you call yourself a so-called African American or West Indian, Haitian? Which should mean just like Christ. Christ come from the tribe of Judah. So when you look at our history, the so-called black that came over here in America in 1619, what happened to us? How did we get over here on this side of the earth?
Ask the brother walking up.
Huh?
Ask the brother walking up.
Hey, my brother, when you get a chance, come over here. I got a question. How did we get over here on slave ship? How did we get over here in America? So one way that we got over here in America, we got over here in slave ships. And when we got off those slave ships, you know what they did? They beat us and they put us into slavery and they gave us this image to worship. Same thing when you look at back in the history of 1442, that happened to the so-called Native Americans, right? Give me that in Deuteronomy 28, verse 45. I got a question. Can we read about what happened to us in slavery in the Bible? Because you said you recognize your nationality on this sign, right? As being from the tribe of Judah, but you're an Israelite from the tribe of Judah, right? How you doing, sis?
Nationality according to the Bible.
Your nationality is perfect. What we going over, sis? We're already going over it. We're talking about what our nationality is according to the Bible. Come closer. I want you to see this. Where do you see your nationality on this sign? Yeah, like so-called black, Haitian, Jamaican. You're Jamaican, right? So my sister, she's from the tribe of Judah, which means American blacks. Then we have you from Jamaican, from the tribe of Benjamin. So we got two Israelite sisters here. What we're going to do is we're going over how do we know that we're the Israelites according to the Bible. Give me that Deuteronomy 1 and verse 1. We're going to read how do we know that this is true, because what we just went over is showing that our people what Christ looked like. Christ is a black man according to the Bible. When you read Revelation chapter 1 verse 14, and we showed in our sister here, we got this image in slavery, and we lost our nationality, we lost our identity, we forgot who we was, but that was prophesied to us because the things that we do in our communities, do you think that's godly? Smoking weed, sleeping from woman to woman, man to man, not getting married, abortions, you think that's godly according to the Bible? No, so you think God's going to punish us, right? Read what you got.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 1, verse 1. These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel.
So these be the words which Moses spake to all Israel. Go back to 28. That he's speaking to the Israelites, right? He's talking to the Israelites saying, these are some of the things that God is commanding to speak to you guys, right? Read verse 15. Verse 45, though.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 45.
What's your name again, sis? Huh? Moyen? Oh, Moyen. What's your name again, sis? Diane and Moyen. I want y'all to listen to this very closely, right? Read what you got.
Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee.
God said we're going to have, as a nation of people, that we're going to have curses to come upon us, and they're going to pursue us, read.
And overtake thee till thou be destroyed.
What are some things that happened to the blacks and Jamaicans in history that curses pursued us and overtook us? What's some things that happened? What would you say was a curse that happened to us in history? Slavery happened to us as a curse. Slavery is another thing that pursued us, right? What you got?
And overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
I want you to, Moyen, if you said? Moyen. All right, I'm a butcher. I'm bad with names, right? So it says, she said, Moyen. These curses was going to happen to the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And how are they going to happen? It said because we didn't do what?
Because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
Right, so these curses happened to us because we didn't listen to God's commandments, right? And I said that slavery happened to us. Go to verse 68.
Bring it up.
Read what you got.
Verse.
What's your name, brother? Come on over here. Huh? Lewis? How you doing, Lewis? So I'm talking to my sister Moyen, and we got Diana, right? Diane, okay, and Louis. see yourself on the sign. I want to catch you up to speed, right? Because what we're talking about, we're going over that this Bible is only for the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the Israelites according to the Bible, right? Where you see yourself on the sign?
I'm so-called Puerto Rican.
So-called Puerto Rican, so you be from the tribe of Ephraim. So we got Judah, Benji, and Ephraim in the building, right?
That's right.
Read what you got. Let's find out some more history. Read.
Verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
One of the curses that was going to pursue and overtake the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, God said, I was going to put you into Egypt again. What was the Israelites doing in Egypt? Why did Moses have to bring us out of Egypt? You know a little history about the Bible?
For what I researched, we was in slavery.
We was in slavery. So God said, I'm going to do what?
I'm going to bring thee into Egypt again.
God said he's going to put the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans in Egypt again. Slavery, read.
With ships.
This time it's going to be with ships, right? How did we get to America? How did we get to America? Or how do you get to what they call the Bermuda Islands or the islands, right? How do y'all get to that island?
Ships.
Cruise ships? We ain't going on no cruise ships. We was brought in there by slavery. We was packed in boats, laying on top of each other. Cargo slave ships. That's how we got there. Read.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there he shall be sold.
We got off those slave ships because remember the Hispanics and Native Americans went to slavery too in 1441 when Christopher Columbus came over here and they brought them back to Europe, right? When we got off those slave ships, what happened? What happened to us? We started working, or did we get sold? We got sold. Would the Bible say that?
Well, I will say that
Black. What about the Hispanics when they got dropped off in Europe, in Spain?
Sign. I had to work.
They had to work, right?
Work for free.
I got you. Okay. So when you look at what happened to our Native American brothers and sisters, same through the Hispanic, you had the conquistadors, they came over here and conquered us. You had Christopher Columbus come over and conquered us. They had what Amerigo Vespucci was an Italian mapmaker that helped navigate to get Christopher Columbus over here to get the Native Americans and Hispanic and bring them back to Spain into slavery, right? Read it. You got position?
Thou shalt see no more again. And there.
And when you got off that slave ship,
ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
So we got sold to our enemies. Why did we get sold to our enemies?
Ask everybody.
Why did we get sold to our enemies?
Well, because we,
if God said, I'm going to put you in slavery again, why did we get sold into our enemies? We disobeyed. Huh? We get punished. We did get punished, but why were we having to get punished? What did we do to get punished? We sinned. Right, 15.
Verse 15. But it shall come to pass.
God, Moses is telling the Israelites, it's going to happen.
If thou wilt not hearken,
if you don't listen
unto the voice of the Lord thy God,
everything that God put in his Bible for us,
to observe, to do all his commandments,
to do his commandments,
and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses, slavery, shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
And they were going to come upon us and they were overtaking us. What's your point?
So you're saying there was a point in time we did all the commandments?
We did all the commandments?
Was there a point in time when we did all the commandments?
Yes, there was a point in time we was keeping God's commandments. And then what would happen? We went off and we stopped keeping God's commandments. Right? Because remember, God said, go to verse 1, 28 and 1. God said if we keep his commandments, we was going to be set on high. You know when we were set on high? When King David ruled. We were set on high. He ruled over all 12 tribes. When you look at Solomon,
what is a nation? Nation is men leading by example. Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. Nation is you. And finally, my brother,
Be strong in the Lord. His word